What is Docker? Docker is mainly a software development platform and a kind of virtualization technology that makes it easy for us to develop and deploy apps inside of neatly packaged, virtual containerized environments. Meaning apps run the same, no matter where they are or what machine they are running on. Docker containers can be deployed to just about any machine without compatibility issues, so your software stays system agnostic, making it simpler to use, easier to develop, maintain, and deploy. These containers running on your computer or server act like little microcomputers with very specific jobs, each with their own operating system and their own isolated CPU processes, memory, and network resources. Because of this, they can be easily added, removed, stopped, and started again without affecting each other or the host machine. Containers usually run one specific task, such as a MySQL database or a Node.js application, and can be networked together and scaled as needed. Docker Hub, a developer, will usually start by accessing Docker Hub, an online repository of Docker containers, and pull one containing a pre-configured environment for their specific programming language, such as Ruby or Node.js, with all of the files and frameworks needed to get started. Home users can also use Docker for popular apps like Plex Media Server, Nextcloud, and many other open source tools and services. Docker container versus virtual machine. Docker is a form of virtualization, but unlike virtual machines, the resources are shared directly with the host. This allows you to run many Docker containers where you might only be able to run a few virtual machines. A virtual machine has to allocate a set amount of resources, hard drive space, memory and processing power, emulate hardware, and boot an entire operating system. Then the VM communicates with the host computer via a translator application called a hypervisor. Docker communicates natively with the system kernel, bypassing the middleman on Linux machines and even Windows 10 and Windows Server 2016 and above. This means you can run any version of Linux in a container, and it will run natively. Not only that, Docker uses less disk space as it can reuse files efficiently through a layered file system. If you have multiple Docker images using the same base image, Docker will keep a single copy of the shared files and use them across containers. How to create a Docker container? So, how do we use Docker? Install Docker on your machine. You begin with a Docker file, which can be built into a Docker image, which can then be run as a Docker container. Let's break that down. The Docker file is a simple text document that defines how the Docker image will be built, like a blueprint. You first select a base image with the keyword from. Ubuntu or Alpine Linux are popular choices. From there, you can run commands such as downloading, installing, and configuring your software. Once the Docker file is complete, you can build it using Docker build, followed by the -t flag to name your image and specify the location of the Docker file. Once complete, you can verify your image's existence with Docker images. Now with your built image, you can run a container from that image or push it to the cloud to share with others. If you don't create your own Docker image and want to use a pre-made one, you can pull it from Docker Hub using Docker pull and the image name. You may also include a tag to specify a version or variant of the software. If not specified, the latest version will be fetched. To run a container, pull it down from Docker Hub, or build the image and enter Docker run, followed by the image name. There are options such as running the container in detached mode using -d and assigning ports for web services. You can view your running containers with Docker Container LEs, and as you add more, they will appear there. Running single containers is fine, but entering all these commands can be tedious. Often, you'll want to control several containers as part of a single application, such as running an app and a database together. For example, to run WordPress. You can manage multiple containers together using Docker Compose, which allows you to define and run multi-container applications easily. In future, you can explore Docker Compose in more detail and learn how to structure complex environments efficiently. If you have any questions, explore Docker's documentation or community forums. See you next time.